I first came across one of these big blimps in 2017. It was sitting out in this field in remote West Texas, about halfway between Marfa and Valentine. I didn't know anything about it, and it was grounded at the time, so my first thought was that it must be a new art installation out of Marfa. It's right off that same stretch of Highway 90 where you'll find the Prada Marfa store and the big giant figures. But then the next time driving by, that blimp was floating about 5,000 feet up, and I realized this wasn't just somebody's art project. So after a little Googling, I learned this was a tethered aerostat radar system, or TARS, and the U.S. Border Patrol had been using it for several years. So it's basically a big unmanned blimp that's tethered to the ground by a really long rope, and it has radars and infrared cameras that are used for surveillance along the border. At one point, there were 8 of these TARS blimps across the United States and 3 of them in Texas. In 2017, there was a government report that said the TARS blimps would be phased out of service by early 2020 due to a lack of spare parts and not getting enough support from the manufacturers. But the one in Marfa was still flying high as of March of this year. And then I saw another one of these blimps when I was down in the Rio Grande Valley in April. I first spotted it from a distance at the Los Ebanos ferry crossing of the Rio Grande right here. I came across an old Texas Monthly article from 2016 that said this one in the Rio Grande Valley is a slightly different style of blimp though. And if I'm reading it correctly, it says this exact blimp was previously used for surveillance in Iraq by the US military, which is pretty crazy. So if you live in an area where one of these is floating, then I guess you just get used to it, but it certainly grabs your attention the first time you come across one. The eye in the sky is always watching.